Welcome to The Survival Historian, where the grit of survival meets the weight of centuries. Today we're stepping into our workshop not just as craftsmen, but as time travelers on a mission. Before us lies a mystery that has defied decay itself. Wood from Viking longhouses that has stood strong for over 1,000 years, resisting the relentless assault of moisture, insects, and time. No plastic coatings, no pressure-treated lumber, just the ingenuity of Norse craftsmen and a legendary preservation method lost to the ages. What if we could uncover their secret formula, reverse engineer it in our own hands, and test whether this ancient wisdom can still outperform the modern sealants we trust today? This is more than history. This is survival knowledge that could revolutionize how we protect and preserve in a world that's forgotten the power of natural resilience. Run your hand across timber recovered from a Viking longhouse site, and you'll feel something remarkable. Wood that should have crumbled into dust centuries ago, yet remains solid, fibrous, and intact. Archaeological sites across Scandinavia have revealed structural timbers from the 9th and 10th centuries that show minimal decay, their cellular structure preserved as if frozen in time. This isn't accidental. The Vikings, master shipbuilders and engineers who navigated treacherous northern seas and built settlements in some of Earth's harshest climates, understood something fundamental about survival. Your shelter is only as strong as the materials protecting it from nature's constant siege. Their longhouses, those iconic structures that housed entire families through brutal winters, needed to withstand not just snow and wind, but the invisible enemies of wood, fungal rot and insect infestation that could reduce a year's labor to compost in a single season. The evidence suggests they possessed a comprehensive wood preservation system, a multi-step process centered around what we might call a rot-proof dip, though the reality was far more sophisticated than simply dunking timber in a bucket. The historical record gives us tantalizing clues, but no complete recipe. Saga texts mention tar production, and archaeological chemistry has detected residues of pine tar, animal fats, and natural resins on preserved Viking-era wood. What emerges is a portrait of preservation built on intimate knowledge of organic chemistry before chemistry even had a name. The Vikings understood that certain substances could transform wood at a molecular level. Pine tar, extracted through the slow distillation of pine wood in earthen kilns, became their primary weapon. This thick, viscous substance contains natural phenolic compounds, organic molecules that are inherently toxic to the fungi and bacteria that cause decay. When properly prepared, pine tar doesn't just coat wood, it penetrates deep into the cellular structure, filling the microscopic spaces where moisture would otherwise collect and breed destruction. They enhance this base with animal fats, particularly seal blubber for marine applications, and rendered animal oils for land structures, which improved penetration and added hydrophobic properties. Beeswax provided additional waterproofing and workability. But here's what made the Viking method revolutionary. They didn't rely on a single miracle ingredient. They understood that preservation required transforming the wood itself through a systematic process that began long before any treatment was applied. In our workshop, we've assembled the ingredients that would have been available to a Viking craftsman. Pure pine tar rendered from resin-rich pine heartwood, rendered animal fat, and raw beeswax. The process is labor-intensive and demands patience, qualities that modern industrial methods have long since abandoned in favor of speed. We begin by carefully heating the pine tar in a double boiler arrangement, never allowing it to reach smoking temperature, which would destroy its preservative compounds. As the tar liquefies and releases its distinctive acrid forest scent, a smell that instantly transports you to ancient boatyards and longhouse construction sites. We gradually incorporate the animal fat, watching as the mixture achieves a honey-like consistency. The ratio matters immensely. Too much fat, and the treatment won't harden properly, but too little, and it won't penetrate deeply enough. We add just enough beeswax to give the mixture body and improve its water-shedding properties when cooled. The workshop fills with smoke and the rich organic smell of materials that humans have worked with for millennia. This isn't a sterile laboratory experiment. It's, a sensory connection to craftsmen who stood in similar spaces, heating similar mixtures, understanding through experience and observation what modern science would later explain through molecular diagrams. Now comes the moment of truth. We've prepared identical wood samples, pine boards cut from the same tree, ensuring consistency. And we're applying 3 different treatments. One receives our Viking formula, applied hot so it soaks deep into the grain. Now another sample gets a premium modern wood sealer, the kind you'd find at any hardware store, and it's supposed to promise decades of protection. The third sample, though, remains untreated as our control. We're exposing all 3 samples to identical conditions: moisture cycles that simulate seasonal changes, temperature fluctuations, and just to really put them to the test, we're even introducing wood-boring insect larvae to see how each method stands up. The Viking-treated sample has already shown some truly remarkable water resistance. Droplets actually bead and roll right off the surface, almost as if the wood has become hydrophobic by nature rather than by chemistry. Over the coming months, we'll document any changes, like surface degradation, moisture absorption, insect damage, or even a loss of structural integrity. Time-lapse photography will capture what the naked eye might miss. And, we'll perform regular measurements of weight, moisture content, and hardness as well. As we wait for our test results, one truth already emerges with clarity. The Vikings weren't simply lucky or working with magically superior wood. They were sophisticated engineers who understood that survival depended on working with nature rather than against it. Their preservation method wasn't about overpowering organic processes with synthetic chemicals, but about using natural compounds to make wood fundamentally inhospitable to the organisms that cause decay. In our modern world, where sustainability and environmental impact have become survival issues of a different kind, these ancient techniques offer more than historical curiosity. They present viable alternatives to toxic treatments and petrochemical sealants. Every restored Viking ship, every preserved longhouse timber, stands as testament to the effectiveness of knowledge refined through centuries of trial, error, and observation. They remind us that the best survival tools often aren't the newest inventions, but the oldest wisdom, refined and proven across generations. If this journey into Viking engineering has sparked your curiosity about how historical survival techniques can inform our modern lives, then hit that like button and subscribe to The Survival Historian. Share this video with anyone who appreciates the intersection of history and practical resilience. We'll be following up with the results of our preservation test, and trust me, you won't want to miss what we discover when ancient methods face modern scrutiny. Until then, remember, survival isn't just about enduring. It's about learning from those who endured before us.